Now, when it comes to Azure and authentication, one of the concerns that people think about here is the fact that you have Azure AD, which is, of course, the online authentication directory services they have. You have Azure ADDS, which is the Active Directory Domain Services hosted in the cloud. You have third-party authentication services, such as Amazon Web Services. And, of course, you have possibly on-premise authentication, which would be on-premise ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services. And, of course, one of the concerns you have there is, what if we've got a mixture of these different services? How is this all going to work? Well, of course, Microsoft, one of the big terms that they've pushed for many, many years, I would even say for the last 20 some odd years, is a term called SSO. SSO is single sign-on. And the idea of single sign-on is that a user should be able to have one identity account, one user account that they're using that they can authenticate with one time and get access to all the services that they need access to. And of course, that is definitely what Microsoft has tried to do. For one, if you do have on-premise Active Directory, you can set up Azure AD Connect. So if I go here to the menu button on portal.azure.com and I go to Azure Active Directory, we have Azure AD Connect. Azure AD Connect is a service that can be installed on a server on-premise, and it can synchronize your on-premise user accounts into the cloud. The other thing is, with Azure AD, you can have Azure AD accounts that authenticate with Azure ADDS as well, and with the new Microsoft Intra services, you can authenticate with services like Amazon and all that. So Microsoft provides us with the ability to allow a user account that can authenticate in all these places at one time, which gives us the single sign-on capabilities. Now, the other thing that Microsoft has started to implement is the ability for multi-factor authentication with passwordless authentication. And well, let's talk about multi-factor authentication first. Multi-factor authentication is the single most powerful capability we can implement in a cloud environment that gives us the ability to basically prevent account breaches. You think about one of the number one reasons accounts get breached in most services is because somebody discovers a person's password. We can implement multi-factor authentication. If I go right here, click the menu button, and go to Azure Active Directory and click on my users, I can go right here, and right here where it says per user MFA, and I can implement multi-factor authentication, all right, for my individual users. All right, so whatever user I've got, like Bob Jones here, I can enable multi-factor authentication for Bob Jones if I want. All right, not only that, if I go over here to service settings, I can control exactly which types of authentication systems that a user can use for multi-factor. Now remember, multi-factor authentication involves not just using a password, but also using it with pairing it with something else. Like, for example, I could have call by phone, where when the person goes to log on, they might put a password in, but then it can call by phone, and the user would have to enter a code. They hit a number that basically the phone call tells them to put. Basically, it'd be like a Cortana type voice talking to you. You can have a text message by phone where it sends a PIN number, a one-time password to your phone. You can have a notification through the mobile app or verification code for the mobile app. You actually go out there and look at what is called the Microsoft Authenticator. If you've never seen it, if you have a phone or tablet in front of you, you can go to the App Store on that, and you can download the Microsoft Authenticator app, whether you've got Android or iOS. And there's two options for that. You have a one-time password that changes every 30 seconds when you go to log on. And then the other option is you can support a pop-up approval message, all right, where it says, do you approve this authentication? Of course, if you go back over here, you'll see right here, you have notification through the mobile app. That's the pop-up message that says, would you like to approve the sign-on? Or you can also do the verification code where it changes every 30 seconds through the app. And then also you can do hardware tokens. Microsoft supports, you can support what's known as a FIDO2 key. These are becoming more popular. It's basically a USB drive like this, and it has to be inserted into a USB of the computer that you're authenticating with into the domain or into Azure. And you can also, of course, support good old smart cards that have been around forever, which is kind of like what the military uses. They use what's called a common access card here in the United States to authenticate. They have a little smart card reader like this that is utilized. All right, so there are these other systems, of course, that can support that authentication, the smart card and FIDO and all that don't require you to enter a password. And you can also use with on-premise Windows machines, you can support what's called Windows Hello for Business, which can do facial recognition and all of that. So there's a few different solutions that Microsoft has added to help us with the different authentication services that we have in Azure. Hey, this is John Christopher. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I want you to know that I'm trying really hard to grow this channel, so I hope you'll give me a like and a subscribe. Also, if you'll check the description in this video, I've got a link for you that can show you how you can get access to all my different courses. I have lots of different Microsoft certification courses that'll help you pass your exam. All right, thanks a lot for watching the video, and I hope to see you again.